2 months ago, on the other side of the planet, one of the world's biggest banks released a study at the United Nations World Conservation Congress in Barcelona that will hopefully forever change the way humanity use our natural forests and our natural ecosystems and the natural world. The report was commissioned by the European Union and published by Deutsche Bank in Germany. It was called The Economics of Ecosystems and Biodiversity. The report highlights the fact that each and every year we are losing between $3 and $5 trillion in lost ecosystem services from the loss and logging of the world's natural forests. We are tearing down our water factories, switching off our natural air conditioners, burning down our natural carbon stores, and killing the very systems that regulate the climate and pollinate our crops. I was talking to a member of the Indonesian government in Barcelona, and I was talking about the absolute necessity to end the deforestation of the world's tropical forests. Heat up your own backyard first. You guys down in Australia are still logging your forests. I was talking to a representative of all the indigenous nations of the Amazon basin, and I was hugged by him after I came out of a meeting there and held up a report called Green Carbon. A few boring statistics for you. For the last 850,000 years, the amount of carbon in the atmosphere that has allowed life on Earth to persist has maintained a state of dynamic equilibrium where the amount of carbon has maximum at about 290 parts per million. Think of this dynamic equilibrium as a safe range of revs in the engine of your car. Today we're travelling along at about 385 parts per million, well above the safe levels of the past. We're in the red zone and the engine is whirling at a high pitch. As each year passes, the revs are getting higher. You know what? We actually do have a fix. We're actually standing amongst them today. We read that technology will save us from climate change. Well, the only technology that's going to save us to actually bring that carbon out of the atmosphere has been around for millions of years, and it's called a forest. And it's not just the old forest that we need to protect. Much of our water catchments are regrowth forests. Our old growth forests with extremely high levels of carbon must simply be protected. We cannot afford to lose the carbon stored in those to the sky. But equally significant is the role that our regrowth forests will play in the coming years to pull carbon out of the sky to reduce our foot from the accelerator. Our regrowth forests are the workhorses, the most productive carbon pumps on Earth. And you know where the most carbon-dense forests on the face of this planet are? You're standing amongst them here in the Central Highlands of Victoria. They're not in the Amazon, they're not in Indonesia, they're not in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. You can see them from where you're standing today. The ash forests of the Central Highlands. And right now, the carbon is being logged, burned and released from the forest biomass and the drying soils of a clear-felled logging coupe. So some questions must be asked of the industrial logging regime that drives the logging of our water catchments, that exacerbates climate change by taking carbon out of the biosphere and sending it to the sky. Is it not strange that we have to pay for our water use, but the logging companies do not? Is it not strange that it is illegal for you and I to walk through our water catchments for fear of contamination, but bulldozers, chainsaws and B-double trucks are allowed to enter them behind locked gates? Is it not strange that our government knows that these forests are becoming more flammable from clearfell logging, but is doing nothing to prevent this threat to our water supply? Is it not strange that we have no Valley of the Giants walking track, bringing millions of dollars to the local community here amongst the tallest forests on the face of the planet?
Hear, hear, Luke.
Hey.
Is it not strange that the plantation industry in other parts of the country is making floorboards from 10-year-old plantation trees from species native to this area? Is it not strange that woodchipping companies who are handed our forests do not have to pay market value for them? Is it not strange that Vic Forests continues to send our forests to the slaughter, despite it not returning a profit to its shareholders, the people of Victoria? Is it not strange that the logging lobbyists ignore the fact that plantations provide more jobs, better products and more efficient wood volumes than native forests? These are endless questions. There's many more, but there don't seem to be any answers coming from the woodchipping companies.
Or Brumby.
Or our Premier. For it's the perfect scenario for governments who spend our money on the profits of industrial logging machines to continue to divide the community. This is old school politics, and it belongs to the dustbins of history. This perfect storm to put local logging jobs and the rest of the community in conflict, divided and wedged, is old school, and we're better than that. We can have our jobs in the logging industry, but we can also protect our native forests. The only thing getting in the way of this is political will and the greed of industrial woodchipping companies. So I want to take my beanie off, my hat off, to those people who have chosen to stand up in this community.
Yeah.
Who've started asking the questions about the hundreds of logging trucks on our roads that day after day, week after week, year after year, tear down our forests and deliver them through some kind of bizarre pilgrimage into the ever-hungry mouths of woodchipping companies. For the woodchipping industry is one where accountability has become a forgotten virtue, where vested interests shadow community interests, where profits have more currency than livelihoods, where so-called forest managers know the subsidised price of everything and the value of nothing. I want to draw a quick analogy because we continue to hear that the sky will fall down if we protect our water catchments and our native forests. Think about the whalers. Think about the times and all the towns along the south-east and southwest coast of Australia used to make money from whaling. Where are we today? How many people now go out and visit these towns, spending their money to see the protection, not the destruction of our whales? It's the same for our forests. And for the brave questioning of the corporate power of Vic Forests and its masters, the state government, and the woodchipping companies, often comes at great personal cost. As the community are bullied and heavied in their homes, in their places of work, on the street, and as they go down to the local shops to buy food. For those who stand up and demand change, it is easy for the pawns of an industrial woodchipping industry to throw stones. And hence, as we look to a future that must be very different to the past, we as a community need to offer them our strength and stand behind them. Thank you.